All right, everybody, and welcome to episode 251 of the 9 Years podcast, and thank you very much for downloading the show this week. I am Nick Draper, and I'm joined, as always, by the face of the BBC Sport website, Mr. Stuart Deakins, and we will be talking about our defeats over the Easter weekend and the League One relegation battle, as you would expect. But before that, and as we've been talking about it before we start to record, we thought we'd go straight into it this week and talk all things fan ownership, fan engagement. We had the results of the London Broncos resolution, the full result, including proxy votes that were sent in prior to the online meeting last week. And as we sort of knew, 91.7%, in favour of Broncos sharing Plough Lane for their home fixtures. 516 votes in total. Did we learn anything about the ownership model at all, Stu, by the 516 votes, or is we just going to be repeating conversations from many years past about engagement in such issues? Because it is, I mean, it's still relatively low turnout.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed because I think this is quite a big vote. Yeah, it's not a restricted actions one, thank goodness, but I feel it's quite important. You know, we're going to share our ground. And I know the argument is, you know, it does bother me that they're going to play at our place before, and because I'm just a baby like that. But also, you know, we've moved to Plough Lane, and it's our ground. But already we've now had to have the vote on, do we have someone share it with us? And then we only have 500 people turn out for it. And that concerns me. It really does. You know, our engagement, we know for previous Don's Trust elections that we had about 30% turnout, if that. So why are they not getting engaged? And, you know, we've been working with the Don's Trust board and obviously in terms of the interviews and stuff like that, to try and get some engagement, just so people are interested. But if they're not interested, why are they members? You know, they're paying 25 quid. It isn't just like, you know, you can have this. They're paying 25 quid. So is it because they feel that's their point? They need, you know, they want to provide the money, but they're not having money. Why not have to vote? And we did the temperature test where I believe we got just over 1,500. So they could do that on that. You know, is it? I think we just need to find out why. Is it because if I've heard some people go, I don't want to sit for an hour and a half meeting, listening to stuff. So do we just, you know, do we have a timeline and go, do you know what the vote would be at this time? And this was on Zoom for the first time. We've not had this before, have we, Nick? You know, we've had to sit, with all due respect, you and I sat through some really dour meetings. You know, and my wife is at a stage now where she keeps on looking at me and going, why? But I go because it's important. For me, it's important as an owner. But if I'm only, you know, 500 people, then how invested are we all? And I think it's a really interesting time. We haven't played a game yet at Plough Lane. We've had a COVID pandemic, which has affected the economy, and we've had to ask for money already, and we only get 500 people voting. That would raise alarm bells for me.
It's a question of, is engagement something we really want? Is it something fans want? Is it something people want? Or is fan ownership / trust ownership essentially nothing more than an ideology? It's a belief in that's the right thing to do because of what's happened. So people want to support that, but they've got no real interest in actually getting involved. They just want to be a part and, you know, have that sort of fan ownership is what we want to do, and I believe in it, so I'm going to join in, but actually I'm not actually fussed by any of the details of it. Do a lot of people just see it as a safeguard because of what happened in the past and nothing more? I mean, if it's with all due respect, if people are looking at it as a safeguard, then your money, you might as well keep your money, because you becoming a Don's Trust member is not, at this moment in time, going to prevent anything from changing. It would have to be a hell of a vote or a hell of an attitude shift for us to lose the fan ownership model. But are people losing faith in it? What I mean by that is that the voter turnout and the engagement is historically low for those potential reasons that I've listed there. But what I'm seeing an increase in, and yes, social media will bring it about. We didn't have social media back in 2002. It's only been around roughly 10 years now. But I've never known to so many conversations to be happening about what we're doing. And yes, that is going to be because of the financial situation of Plough Lane and the fact we're struggling against relegation every year. So I suppose in a way it was inevitable, wasn't it? That at some point when progress on the pitch stalls or is deemed to be going backwards, people are immediately going to go to the ownership model and say, do we need this? Is this working anymore?
Yeah, and you know what? I go back to, you remember you and I went to Chesterfield away and we went into one of the local pubs, didn't we? And we started chatting to some fans. And they were so enthusiastic about,
oh God, yeah.
about, do you remember? And
I feel so bad. I feel so bad for those guys now because of what's happened.
Yeah. But it was a really interesting chat, wasn't it? I think someone just approached us and started chatting and they were like, yeah, it's lovely ground and, we can have concerts and it was a really nice ground.
They said the one thing that really stuck out in my memory was just like, one of the guys was just like, now we've got the ground. He said, the ground is everything. He said, now we've got this. He was literally like, there's no limits. There's no ceiling for them.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Those seem quite...
Yeah, but it is though, isn't it? Because you can't help but saying that when you go to someone's ground, you are basically judging them on what you see. You're not judging on what's behind the scenes. We didn't know what's behind the scenes as Chesterfield. Maybe even their own fans didn't. But you do judge it and you think a lovely new stadium and they can progress. And the thing is now, I'm starting to think that Plough Lane, and people may think that they may laugh at this, but I'm starting to think it could be something that really now back to Plough Lane could be the start of our problems because we have a lovely stadium. It's an amazing stadium, but we've now got to use it and we're going to have fans turning up and new fans who are coming and they probably won't understand that why do we not have the budget? They don't, we chatted beforehand. They won't come to Wimbledon or some of the fans that have joined since Kings Meadow. They haven't come about it because of the trust model. That's not what's attracted them. I can guarantee you that. When I first went, it was a fact of the burgers and, well, that sounds like I just went for food. I went for the football, but it was a smell. It was the smell of the burgers, the onions. It was seeing the bright lights of Plough Lane, that pitch that was just amazingly green. Again, pitches should be green, but if you remember back, well, you won't remember, you weren't born then. But back when I first started going, pitches weren't all pristine. But Plough Lane actually won a lot of awards for being the best pitch in League One at that time. But that's what got me hooked. The model didn't get me hooked. And
hey, look, there might be a handful of people that currently come to Wimbledon that were drawn to us because of it. But I would tell you that 99.9% of our fans are not supporting Wimbledon today because of our ownership model. There's just no way.
No, and we have to accept that. So, the 500 people, I'd be really interested to know what age group, did we have people that from 18 to 30? Did they vote? Because they should be, because
I did.
But this is, what we're deciding at the moment is for them. This is what's going to take, the history and stuff is all before us. But yeah, it just worries me. And Chesterfield sticks in my mind because you look at them now and then they're in disarray, and this stadium could be a problem for us because when you have a new stadium, look at, I'll give one example, but Southampton's, Brentford's going to look to kick on. The new grounds that come in, Brighton was a big one. The next step is moving on because actually you would attract new fans because it's a lovely place. Like you go to, I'm sure, like a midweek game there, if we don't get people hooked on a midweek game under those lights, then I would just be, what else can you do? But equally, they are going to be there wanting to see us move on. We are literally struggling to keep ourselves in League One, and that's not going to change. And the reason we've had to get 200 grand minimum is because we need to keep that afloat. I seriously think, we had that dreadful day in December 2019, didn't we, where we suddenly realised we had £11 million shortfall, which, I don't know about you, I knew some bad news was coming, but I thought they were going to say Father Christmas wasn't going to be here this year. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was going to be some really bad news coming in. But that literally stopped me in my tracks. And people were like, well, we didn't know about this. Why? What? Because it was all like, as if like we just didn't want to, I think they were trying to do other things and it didn't happen. But we could have the same situation if we get relegated and we then can't even compete in League Two and we're mid-table. Suddenly you're going to get fans going, 1 second, what's happening here? And I think it will raise it because the stadium could be our downfall in terms of expectation. And the expectation would then ask, what is our model and why is it? And can it continue?
we have had strategy reviews, and they're ongoing with the questions of members, what they want from the football club, and that awful word stakeholders. I hate that. I hate these business-like terms. They just leave me feeling cold. It's like temperature test. It's, Watford. Oh, sorry, that's not really a technical term. That's just a word I hate. If you ask people, are you in favour of fan ownership? They're going to say yes. It's one of those questions, isn't it? It's like they're not actually being held. Do you know what I mean? They don't have to make a decision. You're just asking generally. Like if you ask me, are you in favour of hot dogs? I'll be like, yeah, sure. I don't really care at that moment in time. I've got no investment in it. No one's threatening to take the hot dogs away. You're just asking me, and it's like, oh, yeah. And I think most people will be like that. I think if you're asked, if you're put in scenarios like we are currently, it would be very interesting what people would say. If you said, right, the scenario is we can only actually afford a bottom half League Two team. We might be able to overperform in certain seasons or whatever, but generally that's what we can afford to have. Do you want that but remain fan-owned? Or do you want us to be pushing top half of League One, but the club will no longer be run by or owned by a trust? I would be interested to see what the split of the percentage is there and what people decide to go for.
Yeah, and let's be honest, the fan ownership is a toxic thing.
Well, Brexit. It is our Brexit.
Yeah, because if you dare to say that, could we get an investor or could we do this, you will get, rightly so, people go, but do you want to lose our club? Look what happened, look what happened in 2002 and stuff like that. And it's fear. It is fear. Do you know what I mean? But nothing has happened. No club has been moved since that situation. I don't think anything would be now. Doesn't mean we just go full blanche and go, we don't care anymore, because the history is that had made AFC Wimbledon. But our objective was to get back to Wimbledon. We were fortunate to get back to Plough Lane. I don't think any of us really thought that was ever going to happen, but we're there now. But I really feel now that you get thrown back, but you don't want to lose it. We're going to risk ownership. Well, what's the risk that we're doing at the moment? Because the risk is we will not be able to compete in League One. We might not be able to compete, and how people mean competing. If we're going to go, I've heard many people go, we get relegated, but you know what? We can recover and we can win that league. Don't be so sure. There's a bit of money going on in clubs. Look at Salford, and they can't even get out of that. And it worries me a little bit. And then, are we risking, because will our fan base drop? Because some people just don't want to watch League Two. Sheffield Wednesday could be coming down to Plough Lane next year, or we could have Sutton United and Morecambe. Let's be honest, Joey. We do go for the opposition. We want to be playing in these big games. That's about Plough Lane. And I think, are we risking the fact that we could end up losing fans, which then affects the game? And could we be risking actually us dropping like a stone, or all that hard work that's done, we could lose? And I think, look, I'm at the moment, I think we've hit our ceiling. And I think our ceiling was League Two. I think we've done amazing to get into League One, and we're seeing how hard it is now. But it's also an entertainment business, and we're not, because we just can't afford the players. I think something has to give. But if we do, I think we have to be adults about this. I can't keep hearing the same thing about, but look what happened in 2000. I was there. You were there, very young in your nappies. Do you know what I mean? But I went through that. I know exactly what it was. But I also now want to have something a bit more, and I'm worried about we're going to drop through. So I think if we're going to have this conversation, we have to be presented information about what the benefits are to having someone invest, rather than keep having this, but do you know what you're going to lose?
We did kind of get talking on this topic, having listened to the Wombles Had a Dream podcast that was released yesterday when they were discussing this. And it's interesting to hear just different views on where people are at with the current model and what they think of it and where their engagement is. And engagement really is the key word. Now, we've spoken about the vote for Broncos and the lack of engagement. You've mentioned previous votes and everything like that. Is our ownership model, because we always hear about these two things, engagement and comms, but are we only thinking about those things because of our model? By that, I mean, how do we evaluate or judge engagement in typical football terms. Before you had a trust-owned model, how would we have talked about engagement back in the old days of Wimbledon FC? They'd have talked about ticket sales, hospitality sales, merchandise sales, number of fans we took away. Those were how you'd measure engagement, wouldn't you? Because you wouldn't have had there was no other real measures for it. I mean, you can talk for the real hardcores, you can talk about fanzines and fanzines. I don't know, but you wouldn't be talking about votes on a Wednesday evening about wider club matters or club business, would you? Your engagement is essentially everything to do with Saturday 3 p.m. And this is what we said to you. Talk about attracting new fans and younger fans and how people became fans of Wimbledon. None of it was to do with ownership models, as you've already said. It was, am I enjoying myself on a Saturday afternoon? And that's what it boils down to. In terms of engaging younger fans, isn't that really all we should be looking at? Instead of worrying about, how many younger fans are members of the Junior Dons? How many fans, when they turn 16, how many move their membership over from Junior Dons to main Dons Trust members? Are we not looking at that wrong? Because history tells us that actually these people and people in general are not engaging with the votes and the meetings and all that business, but they're still spending money. They're still buying tickets. They're still buying shirts, replica shirts. They're buying kit sponsorships, all these sorts of bits and pieces. Do we get ourselves a little bit tied up in knots because of our model sometimes and start to worry when perhaps we shouldn't do?
Yeah, possibly. I suppose how I look at it is, if we go back to the engagement at the old Wimbledon, there wasn't none.
But is that not my point though? Because there was lots of engagement. I mean, we still would have, we'd have thousands of season ticket holders. We'd still have hundreds of people travelling to away games. The merchandise sales were still strong. There was engagement. Yeah,
I suppose it depends what you measure engagement by. So exactly, what we look at engagement at the moment is having a voice, and there was supporter groups at Wimbledon. I was, when I was at Sellers Park, I was in my 20s. And I wouldn't have gone to Sellers Park for a meeting, if I'm being honest, but it wasn't around at that time. Clubs, and it still doesn't now. Clubs, very few are trust-owned or the model we have. But yeah, no, we didn't. And I remember the engagement session we had, which was probably at the end of AFC Wimbledon, when we had an open training day down at the training ground where Egan Olsen joined. And that was amazing. I was like, wow. Actually, because we didn't have that. Didn't have that, but maybe that was a sign of the times. But in terms of engagement, yes, away travels and stuff like that. I suppose the reason I look at engagement is because I am very conscious that if I was a school kid at this precise moment going to Plough Lane, but I never told people that I was a Wimbledon fan down when I was at school, because there's no other Wimbledon fans. I wasn't saying I wasn't ashamed, but I was like, I'm not a Chelsea. Chelsea wasn't big at that time. But now we want those kids to be proud, don't we? Do you know what I mean? And what I look at now is, will they accept our model? Because it's changed. The world's changed now. People want instant success, and they will want, for their money, they will want to get value for money. And I just don't think someone saying that, well, do you realise how great it is to be owned and funded by the fan? I don't know how that sells, because they're a different beast. So they probably won't. You're probably right. They probably won't go to the meetings and stuff. So maybe we are barking up the wrong tree on that side of it. But they are important.
That's showing our insularity, isn't it, really? Because we have these conversations about selling the ownership model to prospective fans. And as we're sort of saying here, they don't really care. They don't care. Yeah. So are we not becoming a little bit insular in our thinking, saying, no, you've got to care, you must care, it's so important you care? Actually, well, not really. And it's not to say, this is not a conversation about fan ownership versus private ownership. This is a conversation of fan ownership and setting expectations, not expectations, but sort of growing a football club within that model, not selling the model itself, selling the football club, making it about AFC Wimbledon, the football club, less about the ideology of fan ownership. I don't know if I'm making sense there, but I'm basically saying all the things you're saying, which is we need to attract them to the experience of football at AFC Wimbledon, not the look how special and unique we are because we're trust owned.
Yeah, and do you know what? People look at the story, but it's interesting, isn't it? Because when you look at the story, and Robbo says it's the greatest story for weather. It's the greatest journey. But I think they look at the journey of it rather than the fan ownership side of it. I don't hear that coming up an awful lot. But we did achieve it. But we did have investment. Let's be frank. When we got Kedwell in that was funded. We knew that.
We're no different in that regard.
There was additional funding, but I suppose the thing is we can make our decisions. But the youngsters of today, I just don't think that doesn't interest them. And we're going to be getting the school kids coming in of how you went to Wimbledon games was school side coming into games because of school and stuff like that. And they're going to get the excitement of it, but they're not going to understand the message of a fan ownership because actually it's different to what other clubs do, and they're probably not interested. They just want to turn up, as you said. I think what interested me, and if you haven't listened to the One Was Had a Dream podcast, please do. This is a really thought-provoking. It got me thinking big time. And the thing that made me chuckle was, I know Lee Finch very, very well, and I know Danny Baker, who used to be stand behind the goal of us, didn't we? And Danny's a great laugh. And I thought Danny was, Lee and Danny, and I don't know Jamie, who was the other person. But what amazed me was, out of three of them, only one was a member, the Don's Trust member. And he's not calling people out and going, why are you not a member? Why are you not spending 25 quid? It's not about that. But Danny and Lee are two people that I was interested because they're what I call old school fans. They've been around a bit, but they weren't interested in the ownership model. So even they weren't interested. And we're asking an 18-year-old to be interested. They just want to go and watch football. And that's what it is. We started this thing on, Chris Stewart, just want to go and watch a game of football. The politics and for me now, I'm becoming drained with the politics.
I'm over. I'm losing
my hair. I'm losing my hair because of it.
Yeah, all right. Okay. But no, I agree with you completely. I'm totally over the politics. I can't be doing with it. Sure, I just want to go and watch football now. I don't care. All the rest of it is just bells and whistles. It's just white noise. It's not bells and whistles at all. I don't know why I said that. It's like white noise. It's just there in the background, but it's just I just want to go and watch football. And to your point about the other podcast and the fact that only one of them was a Don's Trust member, but I know that Lee on the podcast said that he's not a Don's Trust member. He's got a season ticket.
Yeah.
Which is more at this current moment in time? What is more important to us? People spending money on season tickets or people spending money on Don's Trust memberships?
Yeah, and that's why, like I say, don't get me wrong. There's many times where I've let my membership lapse because I'll be honest with you, I was skint. I was saving for a wedding, and a child doesn't come cheap. Well, you don't buy a child, but you know what I mean.
Why are you buying? Are you Madonna? What's going on?
That's a whole new podcast. But I understand why people let. Sometimes you've got to make decisions, and 25 quid when you bought a season ticket. People might say, well, what's the difference buying a Don's Trust? There is. Everyone's got a personal allowance of what they want to spend on football. So that's why it got me thinking, because I was surprised, but I wasn't disappointed that they weren't members. But it made me think, actually, they just want to go and watch football and actually leave the decisions to somebody else. And they also said about having professionals of certain business types on there. So they've got experience. But actually, does that not come in with if we had so we listened to that Plymouth owner. He has the experience, he has the money.
Yes,
it's twofold. We are basing that, and I sort of started going off topic, but I'll be honest with you, we're basing a 200k minimum from the Broncos deal on projected forecast for Plough Lane. We have no idea what the uptake now on hospitality, etc., and stuff like that is. But we also need a skill set that maximises that. And I'm not calling anybody out of the club. That's not what I'm doing. But realistically, we need to invest in people and get people in who know the business, know what a great stadium we have in an area that's great. But we know that there's so many things that we don't do at the club. And a lot of it is because of manpower. We've said it before. We've got an admin. Our administration team do a great work. And Mandy, who I talked to many times, great person. But I remember going back to debentures and non-refundable season tickets. She was literally working. Well, I don't think she had a break. And they had Claudia and everyone mucking in and volunteers. But that was a big income source. We can't keep doing that. So we need to look at the facts of, and Jamie on that podcast, great voice, by the way. I don't know, Jamie, it's great voice, Lee. Well done finding, having him on there. But he said about, it's like getting puberty. It's about growing up. It was such a great, really powerful message. Because you know what, we've hit a ceiling. We now need to hit the next level.
Is there a point as well, what must be said about this? Infrastructure is basically what you're talking about behind the scenes. And the club does come in for criticism a lot of the times. And people say, yes, we acknowledge that, you know, we're short of manpower and money and that's resources. We've all got these issues. On certain matters, do we not need to adjust our expectations? Because, I mean, I can't for the life of me think at someone like I think we've had this conversation before, at Rochdale, for example, moaning about the quality of different things around the club. They probably just shrug their shoulders and go, well, that's what do you expect from Rochdale at the bottom end of League One, top end of League Two? Like, they can only afford so much. But it's almost like, because it's almost as if that sort of being fan owned and feeling like you've got a voice in something you can do, that we all want the best. We want the absolute best, but sometimes we just can't adjust our expectations to say that not everything is possible.
Yeah, and Rochdale's a fair point, but Rochdale are a small club. No disrespect, but a great Manchester, you've got Oldham, the Rochdales, Stockport County, who are going to probably be putting up trees. You know, they're in a big area, but so are we in London. But we're in a very good area. We've got a great story in football. But are we now saying that great story is the great story in football? Are we now saying that's it? Because we can't go anywhere. You know, we should always have aspirations of being as good as we can, using Robbo's stage of it. But are we now saying that's it? You know, we're going to have to accept this, because I don't even know if we have the capacity to stay at the level we're at.
We don't.
You know, and that's the thing, isn't it? And I think we need to.
With all due
this
respect,
stadium,
involved, we can't sustain.
No, and anything I say on here is not having saying that anyone's rubbish or not doing it. I've been behind the scenes. I've got many friends who work at the club. I know the challenges they have. But this is why Plough Lane worries me a little bit, because it's so good that we need to do something with it. You know, that would be criminal, being a League Two side. And all that hard work. I'm not one that says give up League One. I hear people say League Two would be fun, we win games. I get that, but we work damn hard to get into League One. And I don't want to give that up, because actually that ground needs to be full, and there's more chance of filling with Sheffield Wednesday fans than there are Morecambe. And there's nothing against Morecambe. It's just they don't bring many fans. I get that. But are we going to go to that next level? But again, with the engagement of everybody, are we just assuming that, are we assuming that now we're back to Plough Lane, we are financially secure? I know it sounds silly, but do we have a percentage of our fan base who are maybe not Dunnes Trust owners who actually think, hey, look, got a massive stadium now, we can now start pushing on? I'm telling you, there will be people because they won't be looking at all the financial. No one's going, who would you have ever gone through the company's house and looked at our financial report? You wouldn't even do that, would you? Do you know what I mean? Your mates would take the mickey out of you if you had told them, you looked at that report. So I'm just saying that, I don't think people actually are aware of it. And we need to get away from this fact of we can't sell because that happened 20 years ago. We need to now look at what is the risk moving forward and can we be sustainable? And that's why I voted no on the Broncos, because actually that was me with a protest vote going, we're already there. We're already there. We've not even moved in and we've got someone sharing because we need the money. That was why I did it. And that concerns me because it won't be the first time. And if we don't hit our projected figures, then there will come and there'll be another situation and another situation. And we've got to be careful because league football continues and we're fighting a relegation battle at the moment. And football doesn't say, well, 1 second, hold up, get your house in order. It will just continue and we could really be in trouble.
Well, we are in trouble on the pitch currently. Not a great Easter weekend with 2 defeats to Plymouth on Good Friday and then Fleetwood on Easter Monday, leaves us 22nd in the table, but just the 1 point from safety, and we still have a game in hand over Swindon. Swindon, by the way, have been charged with breaching intermediary regulations. They've got to respond by the 22nd of April for that one to the FA, been charged by the FA for that. That could be a possible points deduction. So that's just one to keep our eyes on as well. But in terms of us, Stuart, I'm at a stage now. I'm not emotionally invested. I saw the results and I was like, yeah, okay, it is what it is. I wasn't upset about them or anything like that. I felt nothing of them, to be honest with you. But with my sort of analytical head on, I look at it as 2 fixtures against 2 mid-table teams with nothing to play for. we've got I mean, it's amazing listening to. So we're playing Accrington on Saturday, and their manager's done an interview with their official website, about 10 minutes long. It's interesting. I'd listened to it. It's quite funny because they had lots of background noise during the interview, which was quite distracting. And do you know what they did at the end? They acknowledged the background noise and how frustrating and annoying it was. So I thought, fair play. Everyone just acknowledged it. But it was no issues hearing what John Coleman had to say. The interview was harder to. But John Coleman was saying, because of their situation now, he wants them to be still keeping themselves in touch with the playoffs up until, because he wants something to play for come the last game of the season. Because he said this season of all seasons, he said, because they're safe now, he said, if we've got nothing to play for, he said, at least in previous seasons, we could go out there and try and win for our fans in the attendance. He said, no fans in the ground. He said, there's nothing. There's no point. He basically said, there's no point. He basically said, but they've got nothing to play for. That's it, season over. Now, Fleetwood and Plymouth, I'd say, are already in that situation. And I know there's the argument of when you're in that situation, it loosens the shackles a little bit. You don't have the pressure of anything like that. But I actually think they're ideal fixtures to have for a team that's still playing for something. And we just totally failed to take advantage. I'm ranting a little bit. Mark Robertson said afterwards in his interview after the Fleetwood game, he said, well, we weren't far away. If we'd have got a point in both games, which we could have easily got, he said, well, we'd be out of the relegation zone. And I get it, but we've lost the games. And we've lost the games because we can't score goals. And we've conceded 2 woeful goals. And I know we're going to come down to individual errors, but for me, it just sums up where we are as a team at the moment. We can do all the right things and try all the right things. We're playing the right football and getting into the right positions, but at both ends where it really matters, both ends of the pitch, it's just not there for us.
Yeah, and you know what, the Accrington thing is really interesting, and it was something that I follow Andy Holt, who's the chairman. I don't know if his official title is at Accrington. But if you haven't, please follow him, because he's been taking pictures of they're knocking down all their hospitality stuff. And Accrington's a lovely ground. Like, if you've ever been to Accrington, it's a lovely, lovely people. But he's taking loads of pictures. I don't know if you've seen them, Nick, but he took pictures of they've got something of like a history of where Accrington would then, I didn't realise how they become Accrington Stanley, but there's like a board of showing how that, and do you know what, it was old. Let's be fair, right? The stuff was old. Like, if you had it in your living room, you'd be like, get rid of that chair. But really proud of it, and showing, and loads and loads of pictures on his own site. And I loved it. I really did. Do you know what I mean? It felt like that he was in contact with the fans. So I have had a bit of an issue that we've sort of just dried up and we don't show anything now of our ground. But really like that. And Andy Holt's very interesting on that side of it. Yeah, in terms of nothing to play for, we're not naive. We're not spring chickens in relegation battles. We've been in them for a little while. We all know that actually we've picked up points where we've not expected to pick up points. And that's what happens in a relegation. You know, we do have experience of the relegation battle. But it's a result business. And just as much as I was overjoyed with Northampton winning, being Northampton with a late goal, all you're going to look at is what was the score. How did we achieve that? And we're playing lovely football, but we don't have an edge at the moment. And I don't know if that edge is because of the youngsters in the team. Sal's been playing really excellently, but there's not an edge at the moment to us. Do you know what I mean? And there should be a fear of relegation. And I'm not saying they're not, but I sometimes think the fans do give that a little bit of an edge of the game means something. And the way we play football at the moment is not, it's lovely to watch, no doubt about that, but there's no cutting edge. And you're right, the goals we conceded weren't great. A back heel from a defender. And Zanev, not even going to criticise Zanev. He knows what he's done wrong. And just as much he had the glory of the penalty save. It's a weird way, isn't it? Because Nick Zanev, a lovely guy, we chatted to him. He said he would love the euphoria of being able to celebrate with the fans of that penalty save. Equally, now he would have that would have been hard for him to not. Well, you can imagine some of the words that would have been said beyond the goal of it. That's football for you, and that's goalkeeping for you. But yeah, there is easy games to come up. Yeah, Accrington, to be safe at this point in the season, for them, that's massive success. And you may argue that they should really be hitting towards the playoffs, but their squad was never going to be big enough for that and that side of it. Hey, look, let's hope they've got nothing to play for, because no matter what you say to people, it's been a hard season for players. And they will switch off. They will switch off because they've been away from their families a lot. And they won't be looking forward to summer holidays because no one's going to be going away on holiday.
Not going anywhere.
You know, I always say people are already planning their holidays or, you know, they're not, but they're going to be going to their families. So, yeah, it might be a good opportunity with that. And I just want to say something very quickly. The sad news of the Yeovil Town, Lee Collins, who unfortunately passed away last week, and there has been obviously further developments of that. Unfortunately, there were other circumstances why he died. Unfortunately, he was found dead in a hotel room. We've just got to be so careful. We spoke about mental health before, but players are not immune to this. You know, these players, and the reason I link it in with Accrington is because they want to get back to their families. You know, we've all lost out on things. And even though we say they're lucky to be playing football, there's a lot of hardship in there. So we just want to say, look, you know, we've got to make notice of this. We can't just accept this and go, it's one of those things. It's not, you know, that's not right. It's terrible. It's tragic. And we need to be careful with players.
Accrington on Saturday, as we say, enough to play for. A little bit inconsistent. Lost 7-0 at Peterborough a few games ago, but unbeaten in their last two. They won at Oxford on Monday. John Coleman been in there for a long time. Talk about goalkeeper, Stu. Their goalkeeper at the moment is a young 20-year-old Toby Savin. Now, if you want your goalkeeper to be called anything, I think Saving is a great name, to be fair. They beat us 2-1 at Plough Lane in October. No, they didn't. They beat us 2-1 at Loftus Road in October because
I was lucky enough to be there as well at that time. Yeah.
Oh, lucky.
Well, yeah, it's probably not the right word, is it? But I know people want to go to games, don't they? But yeah, I was there. Yeah, do you know what? They were decent against us.
Yeah, I think it's a tough game. It's a tough game. They want, like I say, the manager's not going to let them drop off just yet because they're still in touch with the playoffs and they could still make a run for it. And it's a good fixture to have if you're against a struggling team at home. Kind of game you want to take advantage on from their point of view. I think there'll be goals. I think we'll score. I know we've said we struggle scoring. Even though, as we said, we've not even really talked about it. We're running out of time, but the lineup in the weekend was good. We had, especially against Fleetwood, Radoni, Ayuba Sal, as you mentioned, Oxannon, all playing, Longman, Piggott, all involved. So we were looking to score goals. Just didn't happen. I wonder. Well, anyway, it is what it is. But I think Accrington, there's a chance we can get something from the game. I think there'll be goals.
Yeah, do you know what? There isn't much. You can see definitely things are happening, and football is all about those important moments in both boxes. You know, the final thirds. We weren't unlucky. We're just waiting for something to connect. You know, we're getting the free kicks. We're getting some half chances here and there, and sometimes you need a bit of luck, but you earn your luck, and we know that side of it. So, do you know what? I can see what's happening, but it's a result. It's got to be a result. And one of the things I was disappointed, I'll be honest with you, I was disappointed that we took Piggott off and didn't. We should have we needed forwards on there. We needed to score goals. And we replaced Piggott with Palmer, and Palmer's been good with Piggott late on because it then means they got two people to worry about, but ended up Palmer easily marked. Wasn't effective. Unfortunately, we've got to look at scoring goals, and that might mean that we just might have to change the formation and go for it a little bit. And maybe just delay some of the things that Robbo wants to do, but just get safe first. You know, get safe first and then maybe do some other bits in the summer because I think it's going to be a lot of changes. But we've got to win games, and you know what? It's better sometimes going down 3-2 than it is 1-0 at home to an error that could happen to anybody.
15 of our last 19 league games, we have failed to score in the first half. That is the problem that we're facing. Accrington, then, prediction, scoreline from you?
I'm not confident because it's not Accrington alike. Accrington just love these games. Do you know what I mean? You know, there's not a history between us. You know, we did have that playoff win there and stuff like that, but Accrington are just a horrible side. I think we'll do well to get a win. I think we'll probably end up with a 0-0 or 1-1 draw.
Updates on Twitter at 9YRS Podcast. Elsewhere, Wigan travel to Doncaster. Don't fancy their chances there. Rochdale go to Fleetwood. Fleetwood just don't concede goals. We spoke about the fact we didn't score against them and we tried an attacking lineup. They don't concede goals. It's ridiculous. They concede less than a goal a game and they're in mid-table. I'll be interested to see if Rochdale can get something there. Northampton, Bristol Rovers is the big one.
Big one.
Absolute
Big one.
6-pointer. Swindon host Peterborough. No chance. Sorry, Swindon. Then in the week, we host Ipswich, who we got a point against last season at home before the curtailment. And another 6-pointer, Rochdale Swindon. So big week for Rochdale and Swindon there, Bristol Rovers as well. Wigan host Sunderland again. I can't see them, with all due respect, getting anything out of that one. So big week ahead. And I think next week, Stu, we'll probably look at the run-ins for all the teams down there and see what we think is going to happen. But I'm still relatively confident because we've got that game in hand, because we've got Swindon at home and we've got Rochdale at home to come. We're in the mix. We're in the mix. I'm more confident than I have been in previous years, bizarrely.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? And that's why I said to you, no spring chickens for a relegation battle. We've been in worse positions than this. Doesn't excuse it and say it's not, worrying. But, we haven't lost on the weekend, but we're still in a mix. We've got games in hand, yes, against Ipswich. We play Ipswich twice in the space of 2 weeks, from memory. That's a good thing or not, I don't know. But, yeah, it's going to go down. Look, it's going to go down to the final day. I've got no doubt about that because, again, we've been here and done it. That's why I said to you about the Lincoln situation with them not being able to play games. They've got 2 games that they have postponed, and they're going to be playing every 3 days now to the end of the season. And I think the fixture looked a dodgy fixture, probably January when we were looking over our shoulders. But actually, if we have to go, and I'm not going well ahead of it, but I think because we're going to be in this mix, we're not going to be out of trouble by the time we go to Lincoln. That's not the worst game to have, because they are going to be absolutely shattered. So, yeah, we just need to keep them. I won't lie, I was really annoyed on Monday when we lost, really annoyed. And that's the first time I've been annoyed at a defeat, probably most of the season, because it's the business end now. It's the business end, and we've got to start winning games. So I know you're saying investing and stuff like that. I don't want to go down. I don't want to go to Plough Lane with losing our status and we've not being able to do anything about it. I don't know. It just doesn't. It's me being a bit big-headed. That's not a League Two ground. It's not a League Two ground, and I don't want to go back there and be League Two. So I want to stay up. I'm confident because we've got Robbo. Couldn't have many bit better people in charge. Robbo and Rob Turvey. They know what league status means. We've got to start looking like we can score some goals, and like you say, first half goals are going to be important because we don't get many of them.
It's not a League Two ground, Stu, but then again, neither was Darlington, neither was Chesterfield, neither was Stockport County, neither was Luton. It's just...
Well, Luton's just I was going to swear then. Well, no, I wasn't going to swear. Luton's just shithole. Actually, that ground makes Luton look better.
Hold on. I'm trying to figure one out.
It makes Luton's actually is better. That ground's quite nice compared to the rest of Luton.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm with it now. I was confused for a second there what you're trying to say. Yes, don't diss Luton. Oh my God, honestly. There's lots and lots of worse places than Luton. Watford, for example. Milton Keynes, certainly. But that is it. We are out of time. Thank you very much for joining us. Stu, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will see you again next Friday. I'll have to do all the usual sign-offs, don't I? WrestleMania this weekend as well, so enjoy that for those watching. Alexa Bliss, bag first, milk last. 2 + 2 = 4. We'll speak to you again next week.